Welcome! Do you want to see a pixel guy run in circles? Do you want to play a game with minimal input while still not being an idle game? Or do you want to place increasingly more terrain on the map and not play any building game? Then I got a game right for you. LoopHero. LoopHero is a roguelike and almost an idle game. Your goal is to place enough cards on the map to summon the boss and beat the shit out of him. But what is the game even about? Story. I didn't really pay attention, but I think the story goes like this. You're like always the chosen one and need to defeat the big evil guy and rescue everyone. Yada yada yada. We all know the drill. To achieve that you have to decimate the entire local population, because peace was never an option. You even meet some Romanians. Based on the fact that the streets are all in bad shape and you getting attacked all the time, it is not an exaggeration to assume that you're somewhere in the ghetto known as Romania. Through defeating the bosses and returning to the growing village, you get tiny pieces of information about what exactly happened here. But honestly, who plays roguelikes for the story anyway? The more important part is the gameplay. You don't play directly the game. You're more of a coach for the hero. The hero runs around and fights on his own. You have two things to do in this game. Firstly, your job is to equip gear that dropped from the mobs to strengthen your character. The gear has different tiers and effects, but remember that it's a roguelike, so the drops are random. However, more difficult enemies drop generally better loot. But how do you get stronger mobs? Well, that's where a second job comes into play. You place different tiles, or as I like to call them, cards, on the map. Broken down, there are two kinds of cards. Environment cards that have a specific passive effect, like the mountains, which give you a health boost, or the forest, which increases your attack speed. The other kind of cards is the enemy spawning type. As the name implies, it spawns a specific monster on a placed location or to a field adjacent to them. If you placed enough cards, a boss will appear on your camp. The first boss is the Lich, or just Sans. There are a total of 4 bosses in the game. The aforementioned Lich, the Priestess, the Hunter and Jesus. There are also some secret bosses you can find, but I won't tell you how. You can change your deck with all the included cards that you want to appear before each run, but there's a limit of how many cards you can have, and what cards you get for defeating mobs are also random. There are 3 classes in LoopHero: the Warrior, which you start with, the Rogue and the Necromancer. The Warrior is the Jack of all trades class that doesn't have any positive or negative traits, except for the fact that he gets plus 2% damage for each second of a fight. He is generally the most well-rounded of the 3 and is a good beginner class. The Rogue is your general assassin with dual-wielding weapons with unique stats like crit chance and crit damage. The Rogue does not get any equipment from monsters, but trophies instead. These trophies are exchanged for equipment upon reaching the bonfire. The quality of gear depends on the quantity of dog tags you collected on your round. He deals a lot of damage but is fairly squishy and can be killed pretty quickly. The Necromancer is probably the most unique class of all 3 of them. He does not fight on his own, but summons spooky skelly boys that fight for him. He has a few different skelly boys. Normally you just summon a friendly skeleton, but with increasing summon quality you have a chance to summon a skeleton guard or warrior instead. The Necrophile is the best class in my opinion because of his policy of making others do the work while just hiding behind a magic shield and reading some zombie girl doujinshis. However, he can be focused and that will leave probably some damage. With every run you get materials you can spend to expand your camp. The different buildings that you can build will give you different bonuses, like health potions on your run, or new cards that you can place. It is wise to invest into the property business. After all, it's free real estate. Other stuff. The soundtrack of this game is amazing. The 8-bit retro music style fits perfectly the game's aesthetics. When you hear the bass music, you know something big is about to go down. Here, have a listen. Also, it is much appreciated that the game offers a specific fun style for people like me. There are also several other quality of life options that you can turn on or off. You can beat the game theoretically in one session. However, that is not a problem because it's a roguelike, which are made to be played several times. And depending on your luck and gear, it could take you some time to actually even beat the first boss. It depends on your run and how much RNGesus loves you. Even if the game seems simple, it has a fair bit of depth to it. Based on where you place your cards, you can get additional bonuses. For example, if you place 3x3 mountains or rocks adjacent to each other, you get a mountain peak. Or you place the storm temple in a way that it overlaps with a forest. You get a burnt forest. This changes the attack speed buff into a magic damage buff. You can either experiment and discover on your own and try different combinations for effects, or if you want to min-max the shit out of the game, you could just go to the wiki and learn all the placement combinations. But I would recommend you to just start playing and trying different builds and combinations. I obviously glossed over a lot of stuff and left many things out, like the camp items, the level up traits or the enemies. But it will get pretty boring explaining every little detail about the game. So, if you're interested now in playing the game, you can grab yourself a copy on Steam, Epic Store or some other financially friendly sites. I hope you liked this video, goodbye and have a nice day.